today of the private funeral for George Floyd and the laying to rest of a man who was killed now 15 days ago in Minneapolis.
Yeah, I mean, so many people commemorating his life across this country right now. The private funeral, as you mentioned, Willie, for George Floyd being held in his native Houston today. But before he is laid to rest, thousands joined his family yesterday to pay their final respects at a public viewing in the city. Floyd's casket arrived at Fountain of Praise Church, where mourners braved 90-degree heat to wait outside before coming in for their personal tributes. Well-wishers wearing masks as a precaution against the coronavirus filed into two lines as ushers directed them to Floyd's gold-colored casket, where they said their goodbyes. According to the church administrator, by 5:30 p.m., more than 6,000 people had come to honor George Floyd, including Texas Governor Greg Abbott, Houston Mayor Sylvester Turner, former Vice President Joe Biden, who is pictured here with Floyd's uncle, Roger Floyd, the family's attorney, Benjamin Crump, Congressman Cedric Richmond of Louisiana, and the Reverend Al Sharpton after a private meeting with Floyd's family. Crump tweeted that the meeting lasted for more than an hour, during which Biden, quote, listened, heard their pain, and shared in their woe. Following the public viewing, Floyd's high school community held a vigil in his honor, where Floyd's brother spoke to the crowd of attendees.
I really love y'all for giving my brother this much support. Y'all could have been anywhere in the world, but y'all here with us right now. And this is a blessing. And this is bigger than George right now. We finna stop everybody from being afraid of the police. We have good police, but we have bad police. You can't sort them out, so we got to figure it out right now.
Eddie, 6,000 people stood in the 93-degree heat yesterday for the viewing of George Floyd's body there in Houston. Today will be the private service, as Yasmin just told us. But you can't help but be struck and be somewhat in awe of the crowds that continue to pour in the streets every single day. This is now 2 weeks of this, and it appears the enthusiasm, the passion, the fear, the anxiety, the anger pent up over generations is not going to ebb anytime soon.
You know, Willie, I think that's absolutely right. When I look at the funeral or the viewing, it reminds me of Emmett Till and his mother, Mamie Till, and how important her open casket viewing was for the civil rights movement. It transformed a generation. It radicalized everyday, ordinary black folk to step out and fight for their own freedom, fight for full citizenship. And here we have 6,000 people bearing 90-degree humid heat in Houston to view the coffin of George Floyd. And that happens against the backdrop of ongoing protest around the country. And so what politicians should take note of is that this was not a flash in the pan. This was this moment, right, is a moment to fundamentally transform how we police in this country. And they need to address it with substance and not just simply symbol.
So, Eddie, you saw the image yesterday of Democratic congressional leaders led by Nancy Pelosi taking a knee for 8 minutes and 46 seconds. Democrats put out a new proposal about policing in this country. The president is said to be considering some parts of it. Do you see a government now that is standing up to meet the demands of those people in the streets in a way that perhaps we didn't see after Ferguson, for example, or we didn't see after Eric Garner, where there was passion and anger for a while, and then the country sort of moved on? We are in this moment still now 2 weeks later, and we're seeing now some legislative steps being taken as well.
You know, Willie, I think so. You know, 2014 was an interesting moment. We saw Ferguson, the intensity of the Ferguson protests. We saw a lot of young people put their lives on the line, and nothing much changed after that. In some ways, the biggest change was the election of 2016, when the country decided to put Donald Trump in the White House. In this moment, I think the frustrations around 2014, the fact that that generation who came of age with Obama in the White House, they're now 22, 23 years old. They're now in the streets in interesting sorts of ways. They're going to demand change. They're going to continue to push for change because they've in some ways come of age in a moment of ongoing catastrophes. So I think there is an opportunity for a significant shift, but We're going to see it happening more so at the local level, at the state level, because it seems that in Washington, D.C., substantive change has been gummed up by partisanship, by deep, divisive partisanship, Will.
Thanks for checking out MSNBC on YouTube, and make sure you subscribe to stay up to date on the day's biggest stories. And you can click on any of the videos around us to watch more from Morning Joe and MSNBC. Thanks so much for watching.